In 1971, the Pakistani military went door-to-door in the city of Dhaka, killing people in their beds. They had a list. Professors, doctors, lawyers, journalists, and Hindu civilians were systematically hunted down and executed in what their own commanders called a cleanup operation. Over the next 9 months, between 300,000 and 3 million people were killed. 200,000 to 400,000 women were raped as a deliberate military strategy. Villages were burned with their inhabitants still inside. And the United States government watched all of it happen in real time through its own diplomats on the ground, who were sending desperate telegrams to Washington, begging for intervention. Nixon read those telegrams. Henry Kissinger read those telegrams. They called the diplomat who sent them a maniac and continued supporting Pakistan anyway. Because they needed Pakistan as a back channel to China, and millions of Bengali lives were worth less to them than a diplomatic relationship. This is the Bangladesh Genocide, one of the greatest mass killings of the 20th century, and almost nobody in the Western world knows it happened. The territory now known as Bangladesh was called East Pakistan in 1971, the eastern half of a divided nation separated from West Pakistan by over 1,000 miles of Indian territory. West Pakistan dominated the government and military and had systematically exploited East Pakistan's resources for decades. In December 1970, East Pakistan's political party won a landslide victory in Pakistan's national elections, taking enough seats to form a government. The West Pakistani military establishment refused to accept the result. On the night of March 25, 1971, the Pakistani military launched Operation Searchlight, a systematic campaign to crush Bengali nationalism by force. Pakistani soldiers moved through Dhaka, targeting specific groups for elimination. Hindu minorities were hunted down and killed. Bengali intellectuals, professors, doctors, and lawyers were systematically murdered to destroy the leadership class of any future independent state. Students at Dhaka University were massacred in their dormitories. The Pakistani military used rape as a deliberate weapon of war on a scale that shocked even hardened observers. Military commanders told their soldiers that raping Bengali women was a patriotic act. Women who became pregnant were often prevented from obtaining abortions so the pregnancies could not be terminated. The killing continued for 9 months. Throughout this period, the United States government was receiving detailed reports from its own diplomats on the ground. Archer Blood was the U.S. Consul General in Dhaka, who sent the telegram that became known as the Blood Telegram. It was the most direct challenge to American foreign policy ever sent by a serving diplomat. Blood and his colleagues described the systematic targeting of Hindus as genocide, called American policy morally bankrupt, and begged Washington to use its influence to stop the killing. Nixon called Blood a maniac. Kissinger dismissed the concerns entirely. The reason was coldly geopolitical. Pakistan was serving as a secret back channel for Nixon's opening to China. Publicly condemning Pakistan for genocide would have jeopardized that relationship. Nixon and Kissinger had made a calculation. The lives of millions of Bengalis were worth less than a diplomatic back channel to Beijing. Internal White House recordings captured Kissinger telling Nixon the Indians were bastards for supporting Bengali independence. Nixon agreed enthusiastically. When India finally intervened militarily in December 1971 to stop the genocide, Nixon sent an aircraft carrier group to the Bay of Bengal as a show of support for Pakistan. He was prepared to risk a military confrontation with India to back a government his own diplomats had called genocidal. India ignored the carrier group. Pakistani forces surrendered on December 16, 1971, and Bangladesh declared independence. The final death toll remains contested. The Pakistani government acknowledges 26,000 deaths. The Bangladeshi government estimates 3 million. Independent historians generally accept between 300,000 and 500,000, though credible estimates go significantly higher. Archer Blood was recalled from Dhaka and sidelined for the rest of his diplomatic career as punishment for sending the telegram. Henry Kissinger won the Nobel Peace Prize in 1973. He died in 2023 at the age of 100, having never faced any legal accountability. Pakistan has never formally acknowledged the genocide. No international tribunal has ever been convened to prosecute those responsible. The blood telegram sits in the U.S. National Archives as one of the most damning pieces of evidence of American complicity in mass atrocity ever produced by a serving diplomat. It changed nothing. The question the Bangladesh genocide forces you to ask is not whether governments are capable of watching a genocide happen and choosing to do nothing. The question is what it says about a system where the diplomat who tried to stop it was punished, and the man who ignored him won a Nobel Peace Prize and died celebrated at 100 years old.